You're listening to Puma Podcast.
What does the perfect day look like to you? Maybe it includes buying our morning pandesal from the panaderia next street before bringing your child to the nearby school. Some people might think of having a peaceful coffee with the sun still rising before heading to your morning commute habang wala pang pila. And perhaps other people would think of stopping by the town's church to say a quick prayer. Maybe you think of the morning bells ringing as something that jumpstarts your mood for the day. And maybe other people want to do all of those things in one day. It's definitely possible in some parts of the world after all. In this episode,
ang pinakamaraming commuter ng Pilipino sa Metro Manila ay yung umaalis between 6 to 8 at umuwi ng 5 to 7. Kaya nga kapag sila naglabasan na, apektado na lahat. Paulit-ulit ng kinikwento natin yan. Lalabas ka na mabango, bagong paligo sa bahay mo, hindi ka pa nakakarating sa opisina, parang tapos na ang araw mo. Minsan, hindi mo malaman kung makakapasok ka. Minsan, hindi mo alam kung makakalabas ka in time para sa iyong stasyon. No?
we talk about one proposal to make our cities more livable for people. I'm Franco Luna, Puma Podcast, and you're listening to Teka Teka News.
Ang pinipili kong trabaho, yung mga may stay-in, yung mga may barracks.
So parang limitado kayo sa kung saan may barracks lang talaga, no?
Oo, kasi siyempre tipid sa oras, tipid din sa pamasahe.
Totoo. Kung malayo, parang alanganin, no?
Oo, imbes na itutulog mo pa, gigising ka na kasi maglalakad, kukumute pa. Tapos mababawasan pa yung sahod sa pamasahe.
Kunwari, day off mo.
Medyo malayo-layo. Siguro ang pamasahe sa jeep ay 13 papuntang bayan. Tapos yung ospital naman nadadaanan din naman. Mga ganyan din yung siguro yung pamasahe. Kasi yung mas malayo yung bayan siguro mga ganun din, nasa 13 rin yung pamasahe.
Kung kailangan mo nang bilihin, kung mamamalengke kayo, kailangan nyo po mag-commute, no?
Oo. Minsan naman may mga naglalakaw rin kasi medyo may kamahalan ng konti. Pero pag konti lang nun yung bibilhin, mas maganda yung mag-aantay na lang sa mga naglalako kaysa yung mamasahe. Kasi minsan kasi yung bibilhin mo, kung sa palengke bibilhin mo ng mga halagang mga 180 lang, yung sa mga naglalako, mga nasa 200 to 20, ganyan lang. Kung mamamasahe, pabalikan, edi 26 na. Ganun din.
Bawas talaga, no?
Oo, doon na lang sa naglalako. Kasi parehas din naman sa palengke, mura nga, pero mamamasahe pa. Pero pag marami ka talagang bibilhin, halimbawa yung mag-grocery talaga, mas maganda yung sa palengke talaga.
You just heard Kuya Abdurasid, isang security guard dito sa neighborhood ko sa Quezon City. I ran into him on my daily bike ride and asked about his daily commute to work. He says he was lucky enough to find a security job with barracks nearby, but he had to move far away from his family in Mindanao. And while he's close to his day job, he's also a bit of a commute from all of his daily essentials.
Tsaka yung mga taga rito talaga minsan umuwi. Pero lingguhan sila pag umuwi. Halimbawa pagka day saka lang sila umuwi. Hindi kaya pag may dadalaw sa pamilya,
So kailangan talaga mag-stay in, no? Para lang mas convenient, mas ma-access niyo yung trabaho, no?
Oo, kasi gigising, halimbawa pasok namin alas 7. Kahit alas 6 ka nagigising, may kalahating oras ka pa para mag-prepare.
So malaking bawas talaga sa oras niyo,
Oo, yung
magkasamang
stay
pamilya.
Oo.
Pero po, tuwing kailan yung nakikita yung pamilya, no?
Taon.
Talaga po.
Oo.
Ang tagal.
Nung munang punta ko dito, binata pa ako 4 years ako dito, walang bakasyon. Mga nakikita ko yung mga kababayan ko lang pag pumupunta dito. Inisip ko na rin na parang bakasyon pag may nakakita akong taga sa amin. Mahal din kasi pamasahe sa probinsya
So malaking bagay talaga yung distansya na sa trabaho.
Oo. Dito kasi kahit na sabihin natin na lagi tayong busy, naghahabol lagi ng oras, mas mabilis naman ang pera dito. Sa probinsya kasi okay naman. Kaso pag alimbawa may pinag-iipunan ka, kailangan mo ng mabilis ang pera. Ito na yung mabilis na paraan.
Kung pwede lang mas malapit ang trabaho, ano?
Ay oo, mas maganda talaga. Kung meron lang sa probinsya, kung meron lang rate na ganito kalaki sa probinsya na ako. Sa probinsya kasi, hirap din eh. Tapos agawan pa sa trabaho doon. Hirap.
That's just the reality of distance in our cities, isn't it? You either stay close to your family but far from work, or you move close to work but far from family. There's no in-between for most people. Your decisions are dictated by distance and money instead of the other way around. And for many Filipinos, living this way has been the norm for far too long. Whether you're a student or a service worker, a motorist or a commuter, you likely know exactly what they're talking about. There's no way around it. The urban sprawl of Metro Manila's megacity is hard to get around. Cities around the world are coming to this realization too. In urban planning circles, the understanding is that we got to this point because we've started building our cities for cars and not people. And there's one idea that's starting to gain traction precisely in response to this reality we've built. The 15-minute cities. Ano yun? The 15-minute city is a concept of urban planning that aims to create cities where residents can access all the essential goods and services they need within a 15-minute walk or bike ride from their homes. So that includes things like schools, grocery stores, healthcare facilities, parks, and other amenities. The idea is to reduce the need for cars and other forms of motorized transportation. That would help improve air quality, reduce noise pollution, and make cities more livable. So, is the 15-minute city concept viable in Metro Manila? Well, our city leaders seem to think so.
We actually went to Paris para mag-attend ng Global Plastics Treaty Forum. So this is sponsored by C40 Cities. Ang Quezon City lang ang member nito. At ito ay isang organization of leading mayors around the world, no?
You just heard Andrea Villaroman. She's head of the Quezon City Climate Change and Environmental Sustainability Department. Quezon City Mayor Joy Belmonte was among the local chief executives and officials who visited the cities of Paris and Amsterdam to learn more about their city planning best practices. Andrea of Quezon City says the city is set on carrying it out, but it's going to be a little different.
During the forum, and as we met a lot of organizations there, isa doon ang United Nations Environment Program. Nagbigay siya sa amin ng tour of Paris given their best practices there. And so one of which was the 15-minute city concept wherein pinakita niya how Paris is has become very walkable, very environment friendly and conscious yung mga tao, and they take pride dun sa pag-ensure ng safety pagdating sa mga pedestrians and even children and the working class, no? So most of their key streets yung malapit sa schools, yan mga naka-close yan. And I think what struck us most is yung pagiging very conscious ng kanilang urban planners to make sure that people can walk or bike to certain services na importante sa kanila.
So far, only Quezon City has explicitly said it's going to adopt some of the concepts they've learned overseas. They've already put up plant box bike lanes along Commonwealth Avenue in the days since then.
Sa Quezon City, what would it look like is that dahil per barangay ang gusto nating approach, sa isang barangay, ano ba yung mga basic services na gusto ng mga majority of the residences. So I think from initial talks, importante sa kanila na meron silang school na pagdadala ng kanilang mga anak. Gusto nila na merong at least mga health centers or hospital na malapit sa kanila. Gusto nila na merong kahit papano bilihan ng mga basic goods and services nila. So we have that. Meron naman tayong mga talipapa, meron tayong mga sari-sari stores.
In a nutshell, the city doesn't believe there's enough space and infrastructure to integrate everything together. So as you heard, they're going for 15-minute barangays instead. How would it work?
Every so often, at least twice a month, nagsiset up sila ng parang day market. So, during the morning, nandun yung mga fruits nila, nandun yung mga fresh produce dahil wala silang mga talipapa di tulad dito sa Pilipinas. So tayo, in determining the need of yung lahat ng mga pangangailangan ng mga ating residente, aalamin natin kung kaya ba na maglagay ng investor or mag-i-invite tayo ng mga entrepreneurs, mga small entrepreneurs para mag-set up at least on a regular basis para yung presence nila maramdaman ng mga tao.
We're pausing for a quick break now. When we return, what would a 15-minute Metro Manila look like in theory?
And that's the most important thing, is to focus on people. Ideally, you wake up, let's say, you walk out the door and within 10 minutes, pwede kang pumunta sa isang tindahan, which we have in sari-sari stores. Or bibili ka ng pandesal, then yun ang agahan mo, bili ka ng itlog. That's 15-minute city.
Yan naman si Benjamin de la Peña. He's an urban planner and the CEO of the Shared Use Mobility Center. And he says the secret to making 15-minute cities work is that they're more than just retrofitting spaces and rushing out new infrastructure projects. The entire idea of 15-minute cities is actually more systemic than that, and cities around the world are starting to catch on to that. But he also says it's more possible than we think.
Kung kailangan kong pumunta sa doktor, 4 blocks away, 5 blocks away, or I can get on a jeepney and in 10 minutes or 15 minutes, I get off, nandun na ako dun sa kailangan kong puntahan. Ang question nun is, saan ako magtatrabaho? Which is a daily thing, right? Ang interesting ngayon is, of course, there's remote work. But even that, if it was, so let's say Quezon City ako, Project 8, and I needed to get to North, dapat yung public transportation efficient that I can get there in 15 to 20 minutes. Not by driving, but by getting on public transportation or biking. The modes that carry more and are lighter and safer. And ideally, very little of your needs require you to take a 2-ton vehicle.
It's important to point out that 15-minute cities have been around long before the term was actually coined. After all, cities around the world have been doing it in their own ways, whether they realize it or not. I asked Benjamin for examples of other developing cities that were able to get all essential services accessible to anyone in 15 minutes or less.
It is very, very possible. And you don't have to look to Amsterdam and Paris. First of all, Amsterdam and Paris grew up in particular times, right? And they were at some point auto-dominated then. Amsterdam in the 1950s said, ayaw namin ang car-dominated, so we're going to build out bike infrastructure. Paris is doing that now. But you don't have to look that far. Look at Tokyo. Tokyo is twice our size. Twice the size of Metro Manila, 38 million people, right? Pero it's very easy to get around. The density is high, but it's very human. And everywhere you go, except for the industrial areas, makakahanap ka ng stores, restaurants, clinics, kombini, their convenience store. So in Tokyo, it's very possible to live your life on foot and at the same time also be supported by very good public transportation. So posible ba? Oo, very, very possible.
Everybody loves the idea of more accessible cities on paper, but the reality is that may matatamaan dito. And that means that we do need political will to carry it out. Because 15-minute cities aren't just about nice parks and wide sidewalks. It's about equitable access for everyone, whether you're one of the haves or have-nots. Sabi nga nila, if you can walk or bike to your neighborhood coffee shop in Makati in 15 minutes or less, but your barista from, sabihin natin, North Caloocan can't, edi hindi na yan 15-minute city. You're living in a theme park, and one that only the rich have access to.
The idea of a 15-minute city is that you will not fulfill everything within 15 minutes. There are big needs that you may have to go out, right? You can't have an airport next to your 15-minute city. You cannot have a factory in your 15-minute city. But you can have your daily needs, your store, yung mga restaurants na malapit, may clinic, may maliit na hospital. That's possible right on in Loyola Heights on Katipunan, and the problem with Loyal Heights is there's a lot of exclusive gated villages there, di ba? And gated villages are anathema to 15-minute city ideas. Dahil kailangan mo sa 15-minute city is mixed use and lots of traffic. Ang gated community natin is the protected, hindi ka pwedeng pumasok basta-basta, puro bahay, malalaki, which works for the rich. It does not work for the people who work for the rich, right?
But let's first address the concerns that car drivers have with the idea. See, at the end of the day, it's really not a war on cars. It's about giving us options in a time when cars aren't just the default. They're the minimum requirement for everyone living in Metro Manila, it feels like.
15-minute cities are not no cars. You can have a car, you just don't need to use it every day, right? And get stuck in traffic every day. So ganun yung, I think, yung experience. And again, I would say, if people want to see what that's like, go to Tokyo. Even Hong Kong, except for the very rich parts of Hong Kong, are very much this. You have to understand the 15-minute city is just a new packaging of old ideas. And the old ideas are, our cities need to be walkable. And that's how cities originally grow up to be. Kasi may logic yung malapit lang yung tatrabahuhan mo. It wasn't until the 20th century, early 20th century, we decided na, hindi, separated dapat yung uses na yan. Right? And we're gonna connect them with highways.
There are things that people uncomfortable with the idea worry about, because 15-minute cities are dense by nature.
It becomes more affordable if you build a little higher, right? Because it's more efficient use of space. Actually, mas expensive yung matatangkad dahil large capital, no? So, you want that full set of options, and that's the same thing for businesses, right? If your business sizes are all malalaki, diba, then one, you won't have the same affordability in terms of goods or distribution of goods. So you also have the small, pwede bang may store dito, pwede bang may sari-sari store, pwede bang may stall. So it's density of uses, density of and mix of uses, and mix of income level and revenue level in order for it to work.
There are a number of factors that would need to be considered in order to make it work. One is the city's geography. Metro Manila, as you know, is a very large and sprawling megacity, and it would be challenging to create a truly 15-minute city within its boundaries. Another is that
Yeah, I think yung in terms of availability ng work dito sa Quezon City, that's also being considered by the city government. In fact, we really invite businesses to locate in Quezon City. Kaya nga may mga incentives din na ino-offer ang Local Economic Investment and Promotions Office ng city government para yung mga basic na mga core competencies ng Quezon City residents, makita na nila yung klase ng work dito din sa Quezon City mag-locate. So, yan isa ding aspect ng 15-minute city na napakahirap kasi unless maayos ang public transportation sa buong Metro Manila, napakahirap din na magaya or ma-adapt yung ginawang approach ng Paris. Kasi sa Paris, kahit saan ka pumunta, merong train, merong bus.
Again, that's Andrea Villaroman of the Quezon City local government. Another factor is the city's population density. Metro Manila is one of the most densely populated megacities in the world, and this could make it difficult to find enough space for all the necessary amenities. Thankfully, there's already at least one city that's pursuing this vision with continuity in mind.
It's going to be incorporated in our city development plan and also our city land use plan. So definitely, even after the third term of the mayor, magtutuloy-tuloy siya kasi at the end of the day, it's something that benefits the people, no? Not just the people, pati yung environment nagbe-benefit from this exercise. So, ang timeline ng city government is to create the core group.
Quezon City has actually already reached out to Professor Carlos Moreno, who is the urban planner who invented the idea of 15-minute cities. And as we've seen over the pandemic, it takes just one city, one change to start a ripple effect across the metro, especially if it works out for everyone. I want to close with this question I asked Andrea of Quezon City Hall. What does the ideal 15-minute Quezon City look like? Here's what she had to say.
I think ideally would be kaya mong mag-walk at any place na gusto mong puntahan with just a few minutes from your residential area. Kaya mong mag-walk to check on various services or facilities coming from your workplace. Kasi minsan from work, gusto mo rin dumaan dun sa mga services bago ka umuwi sa bahay. So I think that's the vision of Quezon City. Ang mga tao kaya nang lumakad or kaya nang magbike dun sa mga services at facilities na gusto nilang puntahan at hindi na kailangan problema na wala silang masasakyan o wala silang mapagdadalhan sa kanilang pamilya, especially during the weekend. You know, in Paris, makikita mo how people really come together in parks and open spaces. So yun ang gusto nating makita, na ang mga Pilipino, ang mga taga Quezon City ay na-enjoy nila yung ating mga public parks na itinatayo at nagkakaroon ng pagsasama-sama like you would expect kapag ka nasa circle kapag ka weekend, ang daming pamilya na nandoon, ang dami na gusto lang lumibot, no? Kahit na malayo sila, dinadayo nila yung Quezon Memorial Circle. That's because they value yung green and open spaces na meron tayo dito sa Quezon City. And we want that in pocket areas dun sa mga barangays.
And that was today's episode of Teka Teka News. Again, I'm Franco Luna. This episode was edited by Freddy Blanco. Our Teka Teka News executive producer is Jill Caro and our senior editor is Veronica Uy. This is the 5th episode of Para Po, our mobility segment unpacking Metro Manila's transportation woes. And if you are watching this on YouTube and you appreciated the episode, please do take the time to like and subscribe to our channel. It really does help us out in the YouTube algorithm. Thanks for listening.